All right, good morning, everyone. Appreciate everybody being on our fiscal court meeting today. This is May 26th. This is a special call meeting due to the fact that it is teleconference, but this is our normal scheduled fiscal court meeting on our fourth Tuesday. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Madison County Fiscal Court will be video conferencing the fiscal court meetings live on the Madison County, Kentucky Facebook page and on local Spectrum TV channel 377 in compliance with the OAG's opinion 20-05. At this time, I would like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs.
Here.
Master Barger. Master Tudor.
Here.
Master Botkin.
Present.
Judge Taylor.
Here. Next, I'm going to invite our magistrate, Tom Botkin, to lead us in a word of prayer. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, sir. Could we bow, please? Gracious Heavenly Father, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for loving us. Thank you, Lord, for giving us the opportunity to wake up in the greatest nation on the face of this earth. Happening in the world with the pandemic, with all the troubles and all the trials, dear Heavenly Father, just want to say thank you, because we know you're still in control. Dear Heavenly Father, we would just continue to keep our first responders watching under your eye, Lord, and just give them the strength to carry on and do their duties and jobs daily, dear Heavenly Father. For the families of the ones that have lost loved ones during this crisis, dear Heavenly Father, I just ask for special grace and mercy, that you would just lift those individuals up, dear Heavenly Father, and just help them to carry forward day by day. Dear Heavenly Father, I also just ask that you would remember the Combs family for the loss of their sister, dear Heavenly Father, and give them special grace and mercy. Dear Heavenly Father, at this point in time, dear Heavenly Father, I just ask that you would just give us the wisdom and the knowledge that we need to help carry our county forward. And dear Heavenly Father, thank you for sending your son Jesus to die on the cross, that we all might seek heaven and spend eternity with you. Dear Heavenly Father, it's these things that we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Reagan, you're muted.
I'm going to ask the sheriff to lead us in the pledge. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you all. Sorry about the mute button. Whoever told me, thank you. Was that Kenny?
Me, yeah, I like yelling at you.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Sheriff. Next, we have approval of our meeting minutes. Just a reminder, just so we have some structure on the fiscal court meeting today. Just remember to the magistrates to make a motion in a second, please, if you don't mind, just to raise your hand. I'll acknowledge you, and then we'll move forward. We do have two different meeting minutes today. We had our special call meeting back on May the 5th, which was our budget workshop. So we need to approve our May 5th, 2020 budget workshop special call meeting minutes. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve. Tom Botkin?
Motion to approve the May 5th budget meeting minutes, Judge.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second? John Tudor?
Second that, Judge.
Thank you, Tom. Or thank you, John. Is there any discussion about these minutes at this time? All right, seeing none, Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Barger. Master Tudor.
Yes.
Master Botkin.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next is our regular special call, I guess I should say. It was our regular scheduled fiscal court meeting on May the 12th. These are the minutes from our May the 12th, 2020 fiscal court meeting. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve. Roger? I have a motion by Roger Barger. Larry?
Second.
I have a second by Larry. Is there any discussion at this time? All right, seeing none, call the roll, please.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Barger, Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bodkin,
Yes.
Ms. Taylor.
Yes. All right. See if we can't work that out. Thank you. Next is our treasurer's report, which is given on our fourth Tuesday of every month. Good morning, Glenna.
Good morning. As of April the 30th, 2020, our total fund balance is $8,547,236.91. Our general fund revenues are at 94.7%. Our expenditures are at 66.7%. Our road, excuse me. Our road fund revenues are at 98.5%. Our expenditures are at 78.5%. Our jail fund revenues are at 63.3%, and expenditures are at 77.8%. Our LGA fund revenues are at 95.9%. Our expenditures are at 0%. CSEP fund, our revenues are at 11.7%. Our expenditures are at 11.3%. Our 911 fund, our revenues are 78%. Our expenditures are at 62.5%. And our health fund, our revenues are at 78%. Expenditures are at 55.7%. We will be transferring more money into school to cover the rest of the year.
Glenna, the 78 of the E911, did you say 78% on revenues and 62.5%?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so we haven't received the order from Berea yet. That would bring it up to more closer to 100%.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from the magistrates at this time about our budget or about our treasurer's report? Okay. Seeing none, thank you, Glenna. Appreciate the update.
You're welcome.
Before we get into our first order of business today, I do want to make an announcement that we had advertised for our second reading of our budget for this fiscal court meeting. We did have to postpone that due to the fact that we do not have the first reading back from DLG yet. It didn't make it in time between our first reading and this fiscal court meeting. So we will have it back. We will be re-advertising it again for the second reading of our budget, and it'll be on our June 9th fiscal court meeting, which will be our next fiscal court meeting. So if any of the public saw that, advertisement on our second reading, I wanted to make that announcement today that due to the fact we didn't get it back from DLG, that we had to postpone it till June the 9th. So we will be re-advertising it. Thank you. First order of business today is Resolution 2054. It's a waste management tire grant. Is any of our members presenting this today? If not, it's no worries. I'll read it.
Judge, I'm here to answer questions if you'd like me to.
Okay. Thank you. A resolution for application and administration of Kentucky Division of Waste Management Waste Tire Grant Funds. whereas the Kentucky Division of Waste Management Waste Tire Grant Fund allows eligible communities to apply for assistance to recycle or disposal of waste tires. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky desires to make an application for these Kentucky Division of Waste Management Tire Grant Funds. And whereas the County of Madison, Kentucky wishes to authorize the Judge Executive to make application for Division of Waste Management Waste Tire Grant Funds, and if the application is successful, to enter into an agreement with the Kentucky Division of Waste Management to administer these funds, to execute any documents which are deemed necessary to facilitate and administer the award, to act as the authorized correspondent for the award. And whereas the maximum amount to waste tire grant funding available to individual counties is $4,000. And whereas Madison County is applying for $4,000 under the Kentucky Waste Tire Grant Fund to be expended during the grant period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th of 2021. And whereas there is no local match required, and now therefore be it resolved this 26th day of May, 2020 by Madison County, Kentucky, the Judge Executive is hereby authorized to execute and furnish all required documentation, including memorandum of agreements, as may be required for the furtherance of the above referenced project, and to act as the authorized correspondent for said project. Do I have a motion and a second for Resolution 2054, Waste Management Waste Tire Grant Funds? John Tudor?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion. We adopt Resolution 2054, the Waste Grant Tire Fund, and give you the authorization to sign further documents that are needed.
Thank you, John. Larry?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Resolution 2054. Is there any comments at this time?
Judge, didn't we get a lot more than that last year?
No, I think this is, I'm not sure. Scott, do you know if we got more than this last year?
Yeah, this is a separate funding that the state come out with. This is not or every 3 year. This is a special program they've come out with this year that will apply for additional funds. So this won't be the tire collection event. This will allow us to collect tires all throughout the year, up to $4,000 of disposal.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have done this in the past. I know, because this funds is for somebody can drop tires off to us. Is that correct, Scott?
That is correct.
Yeah. Our normal 3-year tire, sort of our tire amnesty event that we partner with City of Berea and the state transportation cabinet is different than this.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, John?
Scott, what is the limit of the number of tires a person can drop off down at the garage?
John, we really haven't set a limit. My philosophy is any tire we can keep out of creeks or streams or off the roadside, that we're better off accepting them here at the county. We just ask that no retailers bring tires. They can pay as same as everyone else, but any individual having tires, I will work with them to take any amount.
I appreciate that. Judge, I've had several calls this past couple of weeks on that tire amnesty, and that's a good program. I appreciate and approve anything we can do to try to keep these tires off the side of the road.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks, John. Scott, what about size of tires? Do you put any kind of limit on whether they're like big backhoe tires or big tractor tires? Or?
We have not put any size limit on them. Again, we just ask for people that are having trouble disposing of them. We'll be glad to help you. Just don't let these things end up in our county to pollute the streams and sides of the roads.
Thank you. Is there any other comments at this time? All right, seeing none. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bodkin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes. Next is Resolution 2055. This is our CSEP beta testing agreement. Good morning, Dustin.
Morning, sir. How are you? Morning, everybody.
Good.
Morning.
So I'll go ahead and read this. This is Resolution 2055, a resolution approving app beta testing with Central Alert. Whereas the Madison County CSEP program requires maximum protection to the public, and whereas the Madison County CSEP program requires the ability to alert and notify the public in the event of an emergency, and whereas Madison County CSEP program needs to identify reliable and cost-effective methods for public notification, and whereas Madison County CSEP program team has received the offer from Central Alert to beta test the application at no cost. And now therefore it be resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this resolution and authorize the county judge executive to execute same on behalf of the fiscal court.
Thank you, Dustin. At this time, do I have a motion and a second for Resolution 2055, CSEP beta testing agreement? Larry?
I make that motion, Judge.
Thanks, Larry. Roger? Second by Roger. All right, I'll open it up for discussion.
So,
Tom Bakken?
oh,
Hey,
go ahead, sir.
Listen, I just wanted to ask you, I mean, it's a pretty in-depth contract, several pages long. Just tell us what the purpose of this is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I wanted to do. So we are working on a contract with Central Alert. They have been awarded our siren system bid. In conjunction with that and all this stuff that's going on currently with COVID-19 and all the other emergencies going on in the world, they are looking at a application that people and citizens can download to receive emergency information and notifications. So since we have already teamed up with them with the siren system, they reached out to us and said, hey, here's an opportunity. Right now, there's no charge to us, the county, citizens there, so on and so forth. Basically, it's a ability for us and Chris and myself and our team to review the application. As you know, there's millions of applications out there with whether it's weather or COVID-19 information. FEMA has apps, things of that. So what we're trying to do is loop that information into one area for Madison County. We're not sure, we don't know at this point if it's even something that'll work or not for us. All this is just giving us the opportunity to beta test it with them and see what we feel works correctly or what doesn't.
So do you intend to test that in a small group initially?
Yes. So we're going to test it with our staff, Chris and his staff first, just to see what their application is capable of and how it works.
Generally speaking, beta test means that somebody's working out somebody else's bugs in long and short of the story. Which
Absolutely.
I suppose.
Yep.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Great questions. Thanks for the update on that, Dustin. It is good, for us, if it works out, to be sort of on the cutting edge of this, to have our own app. So it is exciting to really be a part of this. So, any other comments or questions at this time? All right, seeing none, I have a motion and a second. So at this time, Clerk Barger, you will please call the roll.
Pastor Bakken?
Yes.
Pastor Combs?
Yes.
Pastor Barger? Pastor Tudor?
Yes.
That's Taylor.
Yes. Next, we have Resolution 2056. This is a Board of Adjustments appointment. A resolution for the appointment of the Madison County Fiscal Court to the Madison County Board of Adjustments, whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is responsible for the appointment of Madison County Board of Adjustments members, and whereas Madison County Fiscal Court wishes to appoint Ralph Oliver III to the Board of Adjustments, And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has found Ralph Oliver III as fit for the position of Board of Adjustments member. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve Ralph Oliver III as a Madison County Fiscal Court Board of Adjustments member. I need a motion and a second for Resolution 2056 for the appointment of Board of Adjustments. John Tudor.
Judge, I'd like to recommend, or make a motion to recommend Ralph Oliver, approve Resolution 2056 to appoint Ralph Oliver to the Board of Adjustments.
Thank you, John. Tom?
On Resolution 2056, Judge.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Barger, please call the roll.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Barger, Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Buchan,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you all very much. Ralph's a good person and a lifelong community member. And he actually is our chairman of Board of Adjustments now. So he's taking on the role well and leading good. So thanks to you guys and thanks to Ralph. Next is Resolution 2057. This is Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant. I think we still have Tom Webb on here to answer any kind of questions. A resolution for application and administration of U.S. Department of Justice Fiscal Year 2020 Patrick Lee Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program funds. Whereas the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance in currently seeking applications for the fiscal year 2020 Patrick Lee Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program. And whereas funds awarded under the program are to be utilized to reimburse communities for the purchase of bulletproof vests to protect law enforcement personnel. And whereas all vests purchased with these funds must meet National Institute of Justice standards and must be American made. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky desires to make an application for the fiscal year 2020 Patrick Lee Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program. And whereas the County of Madison, Kentucky wishes to authorize the Judge Executive to make application for the fiscal year 2020 Patrick Lee Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program. And if the application is successful, to enter into an agreement with the Office of Justice Programs to administer this award, to execute any documents which are deemed necessary to facilitate and administer the award, to act as the authorized correspondent for this award. And whereas the number of communities that will request to participate in the fiscal year 2020 Bulletproof Vest Partnership is unknown at this time, therefore the amount Madison County will receive, if any, will not be determined until the time of award. And whereas there is a 50% non-federal cash local match required, which will be provided by the Madison County Sheriff unless an economic hardship waiver is submitted to and approved by the Department of Justice. And now therefore be it resolved this 26th day of May 2020 by Madison County, Kentucky, the Judge Executive is hereby authorized to execute and furnish on all required documentation, including memorandum of agreements, as may be required for the furtherance of the above referenced project, and to act as the authorized correspondent for said project. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2057 on the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Program. Roger? I have a motion by Roger Barger to approve Resolution 2057. John Tudor.
I'll second that motion, Judge.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Roger. Is there any further discussion at this time? Tom?
Judge, I was just curious if the sheriff tell us how many they're going to make an attempt to get.
Hold on just a second, Tom, and I'll ask Sheriff's sitting, and we are social distancing in here, but he's sitting over here to my right. They are actually in need of 40.
The ones we have that expired.
Yeah. So bulletproof vests, I think, have a 5-year lifespan on them. He briefed me on this on Friday. They're actually in need of 40 bulletproof vests. So we're just trying to see how many we can get. They range the cost of them. Yeah, one vest ranges from $1,000 per vest up to $1,200 per vest. So as the resolution states that until, I guess, this program determines how many agencies is actually applied for, will determine how many possible vests that we would be allocated or how much money that we would get. Does that answer your question, Tom?
Yes, I was just curious if I'm going to assume this was written by Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Is there anything else out there? I'm just curious in his. Have you seen anything out there that might help us get there? But that's not going to go very far.
No, at this point, I haven't identified any other sources of funding for these. This particular resolution is we can apply annually for this particular grant. I think the last time that we actually received funds from this grant was in 2008. I think Bria got like $3,600 last year. That gives you an idea of the amount of funding that they gave out last year. But really, you won't know until the actual award date as to what we're going to get. But I would envision that we would actually apply for this every year and get on some kind of cycle. So every little bit will help us every year. If we can just keep applying and keep getting awarded every year, that should help us in our efforts.
All right, thank you, Mr. Webb. You know, Judge, to some degree, that kind of puts back where that we started at. If you remember when we first got to office, we were looking at a very similar situation where the sheriff didn't have enough or appropriate vest for his deputies, and we spent a lot of time and a lot of money over the next 4 years there making sure that they had all the safety equipment that they needed.
Yes, sir. And you know, we have helped the sheriff's department in getting that equipment, and now some of those things like tasers, our bulletproof vests are starting to be outdated because they do have time restrictions on their use. So hopefully this does help, and with Tom Webb's leadership as our grant writer, that it will allow us to, you know, try to get some every year, little by little, to make sure that we're helping the sheriff's department meet their needs.
Well, you know, we went to great distances there to make sure that they've had the equipment that they needed. Of course, we'll have to do the same thing again. You know, we won't no deputies out there with the equipment that they do. The virus has slowed everything else, but the criminals, they don't take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Tom. John, did you have something to add?
I think Tom answered pretty much what I had. I was going to ask Sheriff Cole if possibly in the next year, or he's going to be able to put that in his budget to request for those vests, or how soon do you need to replace those, Sheriff?
Well, it'd be nice as we can, but I understand the financial situation. So if we can just work at it and each budget, hopefully we can take the ones that have got aged and expired and update those until we can manage to get them all updated over the next couple of years would be great.
Thank you, Sheriff. We'll be willing to work with you on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Anybody else? All right. Seeing none, Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bucket,
Yes.
Master,
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you all. Next, we're going to have our COVID-19 update from our emergency management director. We thought it would be a good time to update the fiscal court on what we've been doing to combat this pandemic and this disease. So, Dustin, good morning again, buddy. Appreciate you coming on and giving the fiscal court an update.
You bet. Good morning again, everybody. As we've worked through this last 8 or 9 weeks, there's been a whole lot going on. So first thing, March the 9th, I believe, is our date. But we started with activating the EOC to a level 3 activation, which is, what we call a level or a status level where our staff is who operates in the EOC. We are already operating 24/7 here due to the DMIL mission. So we just added another duty to all of our folks as we work through that, which is what emergency management is about, but it's something we added to that. We also declared a state of emergency for Madison County, the city of Richmond, and the city of Berea. And we have been, as we are the emergency management agency both for the city of Richmond and city of Berea, we've supported all 3 governments throughout this event. We have supported their first responders and our first responders, healthcare workers, both at the hospitals, clinics, nursing homes, and dental facilities that stayed open for emergency purposes. We've also helped public and private entities throughout this event. Basically, our biggest thing is supporting them in personal protective equipment or PPE. We have done over 220 requests, processed over 220 requests just through our office for personal protective equipment. Some of the ways that has worked is there initially was a stockpile of personal protective equipment, which is called the Strategic National Stockpile. That pushed PPE resources down from states to counties. We warehoused that equipment here, and then our staff worked diligently to pass that equipment out as the need came through. We had a process and still have a process for those requests. Those requests get processed by our employees or by our staff. They document our current inventory. They document the items coming in and going out, and then we support those entities as they need. As many of you know, we had a testing site here in Madison County at the university last week. We supported that site. We had just 5. We were 5 people short of 1,200 people being tested last week, which was a great success. Our public information officer and support of the cities, and with their support, pushed the information out to our media assets so that we could communicate the testing site and the need for people to be tested. So that was a great success, and that's something that the CSEP program has allowed us to become much better at. Our processes are very refined because of the immense amount of training and testing we do of our systems with the CSEP program. We have PPE coming in. Actually, we just picked up a shipment from Lexington last week for long-term care facilities, so nursing homes. We'll be pushing that PPE out this week. We are in constant communication with many entities throughout the state and the federal government. We have a weekly call with Kentucky Emergency Management, a weekly call with Kentucky Department of Public Health. We have our COVID-19 Madison County stakeholders call. Initially, that was every day. That has been was transitioned to Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and is now transitioned to Mondays and Fridays. We have calls with our regional Kentucky Emergency Management and Department of Public Health folks, as well as our CSEP directors and the CSEP community, because we have to still support the mission of DMIL. So our CSEP mission continues. It has not stopped from day one. As many of you are aware, they actually completed the demilitarization of the 8-inch GB projectiles, just short of 4,000 rounds. Those have all been completed. That is one mission they have completed there, with many more to come. We've also worked with the health department, and we've been working with the health department from day one. Nancy Crew and I communicate. Initially, we're communicating daily. We can a couple times a week now about the needs that they have, the needs that the community may have due to this pandemic. So part of that was their support. We supported them with the logistical resources. So that's where emergency management came in, not necessarily as a pandemic, all emergency management, but it does rely more on the health department from the medical side of things, tracking the outbreak, tracking individuals who may contract the disease. But initially, we communicated that with our CSEP training and our CSEP capabilities, that emergency management would be the best location for logistical support. So that's where we took that mission on and have done a fantastic job. Staff has really come through as we would expect. Their training and their expertise that CSEP has provided really shows. Additionally, we set up what's called a non-conjugate shelter. Basically, it's a shelter for first responders that if they were to contract the disease and did not want to go home, if they were a Madison County entity, whether it was City of Richmond, City of Berea, Madison County, they could shelter in a local hospital or local hotel. Sorry. We had 2 of those set up. We have contracts with those. Thank goodness to this day, we have not had to utilize those facilities, but those contracts and that support is in place. That's something we're pretty happy about, that some local hotels, local food vendors, as well as the hospitals have been able to help us support that throughout this event, though we have not had to use it. We've also been working a lot with the judge's office and HR to communicate safety needs as we look to open back up and what that looks like. Our folks here have continued to work. We are on split shifts so that we don't come in contact with each other. And then obviously we have our night shifts to support our 24/7 operations. We actually had an employee go to the state EOC and support Department of Public Health and their logistical requests one day. It was a great opportunity to see what goes on from the bigger picture throughout the state, not just here in Madison County. So that was some great chance to see what's going on, not just here in Madison County, but across the state. That is kind of the highlights, Judge Taylor. If there's any questions that anybody has, I'd be happy to answer those and communicate other information.
Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate the update. We do. Master Tom Bakken has a question. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, Dustin, I just saw where that Congressman Barr had been able to attain about a little over $300 million for the state of Kentucky. And I was wondering if you have had the opportunity to see if and how much or any of those funds would be able to assist you here in Madison County.
So I think that's through the CARES Act, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what you're referring to, Magistrate Bakken?
Yes, and that's a second infusion into the CARES Act.
Okay, so the first infusion, I think that came at $300 million to the state. I believe Judge Taylor and if Deputy Judge Cheney's on, I think that's going to be around $3.2 million to the county, and then the cities were able to obtain individual numbers. I'm not recalling.
I want to make sure this is clear. Make sure everybody understands that the first part of the CARES Act was given to the state, and I believe the state of Kentucky was given approximately $1.7 billion. I believe was their allocation. The Governor Beshear of that 1.7 billion, he allocated 300 million to go to cities and counties. KACO, Kentucky Association of Counties, and Kentucky League of Cities worked together on how that 300 million was distributed to the local governments, basically. And then it was ultimately based off of your population. So counties get a portion of that money and cities get a portion of that money. And our allocation to Madison County would be up to like 3.1, 3.2 million. Now there's specific things that can be used. It's not just a blank check. There's specific things that we can use that money for. So go ahead, Dustin.
No, sir, that's great. Yeah, so there's very specific things that you can do with it. A lot of it has to do with support to COVID-19 response or future responses if we see a resurgence. Additionally, it's a reimbursement grant. It's not just here's the check, go spend what you want when you want it. It is a reimbursement process. So the county has to upfront that cost initially. So we are working with the judge's office to look at what we feel would be best suited to use that money on. So I think there's more to come with that in the future.
And I will say that this money is distributed through Department of Local Government. So you heard Dustin talk about application process of the grant, and that's ultimately how that process will go. It would be a reimbursement. I do know that part of this funds is no lost revenue to counties or cities is not part of that funding rules. You cannot use it towards lost revenue. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was thinking in the terms when Dustin was telling us earlier about the PPE that, our first responder, sheriff's department, obviously the city law enforcement in Richmond, Berea, plus the EMS, fire, all those folks, they're needing masks and gloves and other things going along with that. And I was curious about, how that shouldn't be an additional burden on the sheriff's burden or the police chief's burden or the fire chief's burden. That should be part of that, I would think.
So yeah, actually, we've been able to support those entities from day one with the resources that we received through the Strategic National Stockpile. So we actually have those resources here on site. And when there is a need from the sheriff's office, from city fire, city PD, county fire, any entity, we are supporting those in response to their COVID-19 responses. So no, they are not having to support that right now. As we still have those resources here on site.
Good. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Tom. Is there any other questions this time for Dustin? Any other comments from the magistrates? All right, seeing none, thank you, Dustin. I appreciate the update.
You bet. Thank you.
Next is our very own Kenny Barger for an election update. Hi, Kenny.
Good morning. Thank you all for giving me the time to communicate this. This has been a plan that has been revised a couple of times, and there's a little confusion out there, so I want to make sure everybody knows what's happening. First and foremost, please go to govotky.com and request your absentee ballot to be mailed to you. That's saying, rather than doing it through us, that saves 3 to 4 days of mailing paper back and forth before we can ever mail your ballot out. I'll stress that again, that this has been put in the order by the Governor, Secretary of State, to allow us to vote as many people as we possibly can without them showing up on election day. If you show up on election day, and I'll go over this a little more in detail. If you show up on election day, let's say every voter in Madison County shows up on election day, it takes 3 minutes to vote. We're going to have 3 locations with 33% capacity and probably 10 poll workers at each location. If everybody took 3 minutes to vote, it'd take 133 days total, if one at a time. That means to get that done in a 12-hour day, we need 266 people voting simultaneously across the county if everybody showed up to vote. It's impossible. With the resources we have, with the restrictions that we're under from the governor's office, we cannot all vote in person on election day. Please request your ballot at govoteky.com. I know that there are people out there that feel strongly about casting their ballot in person on election day for various reasons. But what you have to think of is you exercising your right to cast your ballot on election day when you have the means to request one online. You've got a computer connection, you've got a good mailing address, you're going to get your ballot, you're going to get it mailed back. You could be standing in front of someone in a long line that cannot do those things. So you exercising your right to vote is hampering their right to vote. And that is the least American thing I can think of. Do what is the responsible thing to do, request the ballots online. I'm off my soapbox. We will have a walk-in absentee here at the courthouse. The appointment's opened up this morning. So if you go to our website, MadisonCountyClerk.us, you can request a time to come up here and vote walk-in absentee. Next question is, why do I have to have an appointment? We can only have 97 people in this building at a time. We cannot throw the doors open and let everybody come in that wants to come in. But we are under restrictions from the governor's office on how we have to operate this business. There are 3 offices, big offices in this building, and 97 people is all we can have in here. So we have to try to control the flow of people. Election day voting. There will be 3 polling locations open in Madison County on election day. I don't know of any other county that's doing more than 2. We're trying to make this as accessible as possible and as safe as possible. So the 3 locations, we're going north, middle, and south. 3 locations are Boonesboro Elementary, which is 1441 Boonesboro Road, Clarkmore Middle School, which is 143 Berea Road, and then Silver Creek Elementary School, which is on 75 Old US 25 in Berea. Those are the 3 locations that will be open from 6 to 6 on election day. Again, there's some differences about this election that are good, and there's some differences that are bad. Bad is the limiting factor of the amount of people we have to work. Our average age poll worker is 64. In Illinois, they didn't do any of the things we're doing here. They had a normal election day, and a poll worker contracted the virus and died. It was tracked back. They caught the virus working the poll at election day. I'm not willing to put the citizens of this county lives in jeopardy because someone just wants to go vote on election day. We have to do these things. The other thing that's different about election day this time, which is very different and something we've been working towards for a while, is called vote centers. So if you live in the northern part of Madison County, but you work in Berea, you can vote at Silver Creek. This is not a precinct-based model. It's a vote center model. You live anywhere in Madison County, you go to either one of these that's the most convenient for you. If you go to one, it looks like it has a long line, you can go somewhere else. You can vote anywhere, any of these 3 polling places, anybody that lives in the county. That's very different than anything that's ever happened in the state of Kentucky. The state of Kentucky's been on a precinct model for hundreds of years. This is the first time we've been able to do this. And it's also going to allow us to maybe handle the amount of people that come through. It's a much more efficient model than having separate tables for each precinct at different locations. Voting by mail. So you go online, you receive your ballot in the mail, you follow the instructions, you fill it out. We are receiving those, if they're postmarked on election day, we're receiving those up to 3 days after election day. So the results will not be in on election day. They will be 3 days after election day before we certify the results. Also, you have until June 16th to request that application on the online portal. You only have until June 10th to request it from our office and have the application mailed to you, because it takes more time for that application to move back and forth. I'll entertain any questions. I think that's all I've got here. But again, please, I know there are very strong feelings about voting by mail. Some people say they don't trust it. I talked to a lady on the phone this morning, and she said, "Are you going to tell me that it's going to be safe?" And I said, "Ma'am, I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth. This is not something we take lightly. We didn't just do this because we think it's a good idea. We do it because we had to, and it's going to work well."
I signed my mom up, but she hadn't had.
Thank you, Kenny. Kenny, can you explain to the community and to the court how you're going to advertise, absentee ballot voting, any kind of advertisement that you're going to put out? That way individuals will be able to go, and see that.
Yes, we're going to do every media outlet possible that will allow us to put anything on it. Deputy Judge Cheney and I were talking the other night. We're going to use the mobile signs, the flashing roadside signs. Talked to State Director of the State Board of Elections, Jared Deering. They're going to put on the interstate signs the website address and the deadlines to vote. We're trying. This is not. None of this is normal for us. It's all a challenge for us. It's all we're creating, and as we go. But we're going to get it done. I've got deputy clerks working here that we'll get this taken care of. I've got dedicated people working. We're all coming back to work Thursday because we run split shifts, but that luxury is over. We have to get back to work. So yes, I'll be on every radio station, every newspaper, everything, anywhere I can get, trying to get this message out.
Thank you, Kenny. I know this is uncharted water, so this is new territories, and I know it's
not just us either. It's everybody.
Yeah, right.
There's nobody that works in this. People have called and are you can imagine the phone calls we're getting. Kind of like the same thing. If we talk to every voter in Madison County for 3 minutes, that's 133 days. We can't manage that. We need folks to go online and request a ballot. And if you need help or you can't get online to request a ballot, call here and we will go through the portal and do it for you if we must. But if you can, have somebody help you. You can use any electronic device, computer, tablet, smartphone, anything. And the website is up and running, and it's doing an awesome job. There have been no glitches all weekend long. They turned it on at 5 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, Kenny, that the public they think that you make these rules as our county clerk or our board of elections or our elections board make the rules, but really these decisions are made at the state level, and you might want to explain that just a little bit, just so the public understands that you're really doing as you're told.
Right. Everything we do here is governed by statute. We don't decide how to do things. We don't decide how much tax to collect or when to collect those taxes. The same way with elections. We don't decide when to have the election or how to run the election. It's all governed by statute. So we have to follow the laws and the regulations that State Board of Election passes down. Just like this order from the governor. We have to follow this order from the governor. And that's the thing about being clerk. This is the clearest way I can put it. People always, when they come here, they say things aren't right. That's not right. That's wrong. And I explain to them, there's a difference between right and wrong and legal and illegal. Right and wrong is an opinion. Legal is in the statute, and we have to follow the law. I want election day to be perfect, but the problem is I got 65,000 customers, and everybody's definition of perfect is a little bit different. So we can't satisfy everybody's ideal situation to vote. We have to work together on this, get through this primary, and make sure that everybody that wants to vote has the ability to vote, and nobody else's decisions gets in the way of that.
Yep. Thank you, Kenny. And I think, I think overall that's why that we've been doing what we've been doing during this pandemic in our community. I think the numbers show that we really have come together as a community. We understand, the majority understands that, what steps that we have to take. And so I think them hearing this today from you, I think, there'll be a little bit more even understanding of the election and the process, and people's patience and people's willingness to sort of go with the flow and just be understanding of the situation that we're in.
Well,
Do we have, go ahead.
I'm optimistic too, because when it comes to renewing of someone's plate to get in their sticker, we have been closed since March for doing that, because you can do it by mail, you can do it over the phone, or you can do it online. And I was very pleasantly surprised at the volume of mail that's increased, at the volume online's increased, and the phone calls. People are going ahead and doing things differently than they have before, even though it's uncomfortable at first. And I hope the same thing happens with this requesting your ballot online. That people see that it might be different. I might not like it at first, but it's going to be better in the long run. And we can, what we're going through here is forcing us to try new things, like these polling centers. This is something we've talked about that clerks have been scared of for about 5 years now. If we set this model up like this, like I said, you don't have to go close to where you live to vote. If you live in northern Madison County and work in Berea, you want to go vote on your lunch break, you go to Silver Creek. You don't have to try to get back up to northern Madison County to vote. That is a huge convenience to a voter. But it's taken a situation like this to push us into, and the state board to push us into being able to do that. So there'll be good things that come out of this, but it's going to be different for everybody. There's no doubt about that. But we'll have a successful election day. We'll have a successful election.
Kenny, is there deadlines? Did you mention any kind of deadlines to be able to request on the govoteky.com?
Yeah, I did miss the deadline. The last day to register is the 26th, which is today. You cannot change your party. This is a primary election. So if you haven't changed, the deadline to change your party was December 31st. So you cannot change your party. So if you're registered as a Democrat, you're going to get a ballot that is a Democrat ballot. Something else I want to mention. There are no nonpartisan races in Madison County, none. So if you're not registered as a Democrat or Republican, there's nothing for you to vote for. But that'll be different in the fall, because anybody can vote in the general election, and there are nonpartisan races in the fall. But this primary election, so the last day to register to vote or change your address or anything like that is the 26th. That's today. Then the last day we can accept an application that's mailed back in has to be postmarked on June 10th, and the last day to request your absentee ballot on the portal is the 16th of June. So you go between now and the 16th of June to go on the portal and request it. My wife did it, watched her do it. It took about 2.5 minutes. They did a really good job.
Thank you.
I interrupted somebody. Anybody have anything else?
Tom?
Would you give us the portal address for the county again?
I'm going to have it tattooed right here. Everybody looks at me. You can have it. It's GoVote KY, and that's .com. .com. I know everything else under the sun that's government is not .com. It's something else, and I'm not going to say it so it won't confuse anybody, but it is .com.
And if you want to make the appointment through your office, again, the web address.
Madison County Clerk.us. And if you get on the search engine and put Madison County KY Clerk or anything like that, we pop up.
And then also, Kenny, if anybody has any questions or, wants to talk to your office, they can call 859-624-4703 as well.
But that's kind of the same thing about standing in line in front of somebody on election day that can only vote on if we are getting more phone calls in a day than we get in a week.
Yeah.
So we are not, I mean, and nothing else has stopped. We're still slammed with recording because of the interest rates. We're getting, everything's coming in by mail in the motor vehicle room. We're taking more and more appointments all the time too for transfers and things. It hasn't slowed down anywhere else. So you may have to leave a voicemail.
Yeah.
But we're returning those voicemails. We're returning those voicemails before the end of the day. There's only one day that I know of last week that we did not get back to all the voicemails, and it was after 6 o'clock, and we couldn't
Get ready to unmute Roger. Oh, okay. All right, Roger, unmute yourself.
Yep.
Hit it again, Roger. There you go.
Okay. Kenny, did you say that your office will be opening back up Thursday?
Everybody's coming back Thursday.
You mean the
We're gonna
doors
have
will be open
full-
Thursday or?
No, appointment only.
We can't open the door.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't open the, I really don't know when we can open the doors up
Well,
because the limit is 97 people.
I was thinking that some of them's gonna be confused that you're opening back up Thursday when you said everybody's coming back.
I've had
You're
questions.
talking about all your workers are coming back Thursday.
Right, and we are expanding. We're going to have, right now we're doing appointments for marriage license and personal transfers of vehicles.
Right.
So we're opening up more spots for that. And then starting next week, we're going to open up more spots for that. And we're going to open up spots for another thing that people are waiting on is out of state transfers. If you bought a vehicle from out of state to come in, we're going to open it up and we're going to open up for notaries. We're going to work down till we get down to a size, a number where we can work everybody through. Then we'll add another piece on. What we're trying to do right now, take care of the people that have to be here in the building.
Right.
If some other means of you taking care of your business you need to take care of, please call us or do it through the mail or do it online because it's not possible to open the doors back up really because we'd have I don't know how many we'd have in line. So please, if you're waiting to renew your car, please go ahead and renew it because it's not going to be anytime soon that we'll have a spot for you to come up here and renew your car first.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny. Tom, did you have something else?
It's in the open. So I've been getting complaints. The other counties are opening up. I didn't hear you.
Go ahead, Kenny.
Cut out. Oh, but I've been getting complaints. The other counties are opening up. Other counties are starting to do now what we've been doing for 3 weeks. That's what they're calling opening up. They're taking appointments. So we've been at this appointment thing for about 3 weeks, and we're going to keep expanding it. So we've been open for a while.
Yeah.
Not to the public coming to.
And one thing I want to add to that, Kenny, is I think a lot of times citizens here, we're just now opening. We actually never have closed. Your office really technically never has closed. Our county attorney never has closed. Our sheriff's department never has closed. Our PBA, none of our offices actually closed. We just stopped in-person contact with constituents. We've continued to operate. We've invested, the county's invested a lot or put a lot of investment into technology. Our IT team is fantastic to where that employees could work from home. Our phones rolled over to where we're still answering constituents' calls. So I want to make sure that that's clear to the public that we've really never closed operation. We just had to go to online, phone, mail, like you said earlier. Tom, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment that if you go to the Go Vote KY site, that information on that site, if you need to change your registration, is linked to your driver's license. So if your current home address is not the same as your driver's license, you won't be able to register. It'll register at your old address.
And you're also able to put another address in where you want the ballot mailed to. You can set a mail to address in there. So if you're going to be out of town on election day, it's just the regular absentee. If someone's gone away I don't know who's away at college right now, but if you're somewhere else on your home base is you're registered here, you can put that address.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate the update. Next is our judge's report. Just have a few announcements today. We do have one announcement that the Madison County Fair and Horse Show, as well as the Madison County Extension's Office Annual Farm Tour, have been canceled for 2020 due to the pandemic. Hopes are to bring them back in 2021. Just want to remind everybody that our Battlefield Golf Course is open for play with a few restrictions. Also, Madison County Parks are open for the summer. We do hope to have our restrooms and playgrounds back open as soon as we can. Both Richmond and Berea are planning their 2020 4th of July fireworks celebration. There will be some changes this year. There will not be any vendors or any entertainment, and social distancing will be observed. Both events are scheduled for Friday, July 4th, and exact times will be posted closer to the events. I always want to mention right now, it's important with everything going on. Sometimes we forget, but the 2020 census is still going on. It is strongly suggested that you fill out the census forms either online or a paper copy. The census is very important to our community in terms of grants and other benefits that we would benefit from. Our numbers are increasing. We do need a little bit more work inside our city limits. I think those numbers aren't where we would like to see them. So please encourage your friends, your family, the importance of this census. This is only done every 10 years. So if we don't take advantage of this now, then we potentially lose all that funding for the next 10 years. So it very much is important to our community. That's all the comments that I have today. I'll move to our magistrates. Magistrate Tom Bakken.
I've got a couple of things, Judge. First of all, I just wanted to say that our projects on Hagan Mill and Bogey Mill and our Buckle Road, those projects haven't started yet. And I talked to Mr. Willis down at the road department this morning. He said it will probably be in June before those get going. I think the county, he was telling me, is finished with their portion of the project down on Wheeler Branch, but the whole project's not finished because we're still waiting on Hinkle to come down there and do their drilling and do their part of short that bank up. Magistrate Holmes and I, we share part of access over to Dogwood. My side through Possum Kingdom, then on to Dogwood is from obviously on his side coming up Dogwood, and that road is closed over there. They're starting to take the topping off the bridge, and that will be closed until they get that repaired over there. So you'll have to look for alternate routes and not try to go across the North Dogwood. Let's see, Judge, last week, and this is kind of an ongoing thing, you know, about a year ago, it's been that long, about a year ago, the bridge that goes over CSX Railroad on Menelus had been struck by a semi-truck. Well, the bridge was repaired. It took some time, but the bridge repaired, and it wasn't a month later, they had a big rain and an accident on 75, and before the police could get out there and block the access to that road off and turn folks on Chapel Road off Menelus, semis, UPS sent them across that bridge, and they tore the bridge up again. And that bridge was down all this time, you know, for one reason or the other. But anyway, about 2 weeks ago, I started talking to CSX, and I had called Jacksonville a couple of times on their 800 number down there to report that, and didn't see things happen. But last week, or the week before last, I was going across the railroad crossing there, and I saw workers on the railroad. So I just parked and got out and walked down there and talked to one of the workers down there, who gave me the telephone number that hooked me up with a gentleman named Cash Aubrey, who said that he would take some action on that. He put me in touch with Reese Benson, who is the bridge supervisor, ESX, that said, you know, they used to have a team that worked out of Corbin down there that no longer does that. They're now coming out of Cincinnati, but they're responsible for everything between Georgetown and down at Corbin. Long story short, I talked to him. He said, we'll get somebody, a team down there. I've got someone that's going to be down in that area pretty soon. They came out last week and repaired the bridge. The guardrail is still down for that bridge. But I talked to Chad Lewis up at the Kentucky Highway Department, and he has told me that that within the next week to 2 weeks, he'll try to get a team down here and try to get that guardrail put up over there in Millis, which will take care of a very dangerous situation that's been going on a long time. And that's all I've got, Judge. If anybody needs me, they can reach me at 200-9765.
Sorry, John. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay.
That was
Judge,
my fault. I was muted again.
you were muted. I was waiting on you there.
This daggone mute button.
A couple announcements I got here. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, President Trump has set aside funds for farmers who may have lost income due to the market dropping and crop loss. The livestock and COVID food assistance program. You can get online and go to farmers.com and look under resources for farmers and producers, or you can call your local farm service agency. That's up here on Ivor James Boulevard. The office will be closed, but they do have someone there answering the phone and can direct you what you need to do. 624-1980. They will set you up with an appointment, and they will call you back, and you can report your losses online. The farmers who have lost substantial income due to the price dropping on the ability to move livestock during this COVID-19 with the slaughterhouses closed down, and there's a meat shortage, but it's not from the farmers' end of it. It's from the packing houses and the processors being able to move that meat to the groceries and the food chain. Judge, you mentioned the federal funds being allocated for our local government for roads and medical and emergency situations. And those funds, a lot of those come through COVID-19. And a lot of that money, like you said, is proportionally per population. So that goes to show you how important it is to fill out your census. And if you haven't done that, you can get online, or I think you could even call in and request a census form, and you can fill it out and mail it back in. I'm not sure the number of that Census Bureau, but I'm sure someone can help you with that. Yesterday was Memorial Day. Just continue to remember those who gave it all, that we may live in a free country and live as we do today. We have so much to be thankful for here. Show civility in everything that we do. I'm, along with other members of the community in the state, are very disappointed in what happened in Frankfurt this past weekend with the Governor Bashir's effigy hanging from a tree. We are better than that. We don't need to do that. If you have differences in opinions, show those when you go to the poll. Elect someone else that will make the decisions and make the opinions that you would like to see happen. Don't be ugly and show differences like that. That's unacceptable. That's not American. That's communist and brutal. I've had several calls this week on road repairs and culverts, some blacktop issues. We're working on these, as along with more, and continue to do that. We're mowing their roads. We're trying to keep up with that. This grass is growing fast. And just one last comment here. Kenny did an outstanding job explaining what we need to do about voting this year. It's different. It's going to be a little more difficult for us. Our best option is go online to govote.com, govotekentucky.com, and request your ballot. You can call Kenny's office at 624-4703. They will get a ballot out to you. And if you choose to go vote in person at one of those locations, Boonesboro School, Clark Moore's, or Silver Creek, you may be waiting in a long line. So that, please make that your last option, and I'm sure Kenny will agree with me on that. Try to get a ballot without having to wait in line. I'm sure they'll try to keep the polls open if you're in line at 6 to see that you vote, but there's no need to poll workers sitting there until 10 and 11 o'clock at night trying to get people in the door. And a lot of those poll workers are elderly. They're most susceptible to this virus, so don't put them at extra stress. Please get your ballot ahead of time and go vote. If you need anything, you can call me at 661-0044. That's all I got, Judge.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Next is Roger Barger, Magistrate District 2. Hi, buddy.
How you doing, Judge? First thing, ferry is back open. Got it all cleaned up over the weekend and got it running again. The issue with that is Tates Creek is closed right now, Tates Creek Road, for a slide repair. Could be closed for a few days, 3 to 4 days maybe, but they can take Jacks Creek and get there if they're still needing to cross the ferry. Of course, that's going to put a lot more traffic on Jacks Creek, and it's a narrow road as well, so everybody needs to be careful and be considerate of others. There's going to be more traffic on it, I'm sure. The other thing I want to talk about is wearing a mask. I try to wear a mask every time I'm out in public. I just think it's the thing to do, and from what the health officials tells us, the mask, you're protecting everybody else. So I need everybody to protect me as well by wearing a mask. And I know some people have issues that keeps them from wearing that mask, but you got to be considerate about how close you are to people and whatever, especially when you're in grocery stores and stuff. I think it's just something that's needed. If you're out in the open, it's not as bad as long as you're at a distance, but we just need to think of others as well as ourselves when we are out in public. I'm of the age that's more susceptible to get this, and I try my best.
I was thinking about putting it on.
Try to wear my mask, but other than that, I just want to make a comment that be a little more kind to others in these trying times. Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, Roger. Next, we have our magistrate from District 1, Larry Combs. Been magistrate about as long as I've been alive.
I don't know about that.
You should be proud of how long you've been a magistrate, Larry.
Well, I am proud, Judge, but
Yeah.
let me begin by thanking everybody that called me on behalf of my sister. Been a tough week.
I know it has,
I'm
buddy.
glad to be here.
Yeah.
That's all I had, Judge.
Glad you are here, Larry. Next, we have comments from department heads. Do we have, oh, sorry, back up. Our county attorney, Jenny Heyman, you don't have anything today? And Kenny, you've already talked long enough, so I'm not going to ask you again. So.
I'll say the same thing again if you want me to.
Do we have any comments from our department heads? Seeing none, before I do get off here today, I do want to wish my sweet mama a happy birthday. She's 76 years old today, so I'm very thankful for her leadership in my life. So happy birthday to my mom. I do want to answer a couple questions real quick. We had a question about a road repair on Union City Road. Union City Road is a state road, but we will send that issue on. It says a bridge is eroding away and is causing a few little traffic hazards, but it could get worse. So we will send that on to the State Transportation Cabinet to get repaired. And then there was also another question about advertising the tire event to the public. There actually is no tire event this year to the public, but the grant that we talked about earlier, if we get awarded that grant, you could contact our solid waste office if you do have tires, and you can call our solid waste office at 624-4709. Again, if you do have tires and you would like to dispose of them, contact our solid waste department at 624-4709. All right, I need a motion to pay the claims and approve the transfers. Larry?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, Judge.
Thanks, Larry. John?
I'll second that, Judge.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Master Bucket,
Yes.
Mr. Combs,
Yes.
Master Berger,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes. I do want to thank our counselor, our county attorney, Jenny Heyman, for keeping me in line. I just looked down, that's why I got tickled, told me to quit clicking my pen. So I apologize if those watching, if that's been annoying. My mom and dad used to spank me because I couldn't sit still. So I apologize, but thank you, counselor, for keeping me in line. Our next court meeting will be June 9th, 2020. That will be back here live on Facebook, on our cable channel 377, using our Zoom link here in our technology. So I appreciate everybody's due diligence in these trying times to come together to try new things so that we can continue what we were elected to do. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
I move.
I have a motion by John, or I have a motion by Tom, a second by John. Call the roll, please.
Master Buckin,
Yes.
Master Combs,
Yes.
Master Berger,
Yes.
Master Tudor,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes. Guys, I appreciate everybody a lot. God bless you. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.